Okay, I'm continuing with activity 4.2 in Canvas. That's this shape that we were showing right here. Remember that in our last shape we used one that was fairly similar, except for it had a shelf over here, and for that method we did the additive method, where I took and did the outline of the shape and then extruded it and then added on the shelf. This time here, I'm going to demonstrate how to use a subtractive method. I think the additive method would actually be easier for this shape. It'd be a little more efficient. There's only 2 steps to it. But I want to demonstrate the subtractive method that I could use with this shape as well. While it's a few more steps, it's actually a little bit easier. So let's start with this overall shape. It's 60 millimeters by 30 and 40 millimeters high. So that's important to note. So we're going to start by creating a 60 by 40, and then we'll extrude at 30. So let's go ahead and get to our window. So again, I'm in the project folder. I'm in activity 4.2. So I'm going to go ahead and start a new part. And as always, we're going to start with a 2D sketch. And let's pick the XY plane. Now, if I start with a new rectangle, it's use the 2-point rectangle, because remember I needed to do that 40 millimeter by 60 millimeter. But if I start that, you'll notice that I'm in inches here. So I don't want to be in inches, I need to be in millimeters. So let's show you how to change that. So I'm going to escape out of this. I'm going to go to Tools, Document Settings. Up at the top of this tab right here, it says Units. And here it is. So you see where it says length is in inches. That's what that means is not just length, but width, height, depth. Any dimension is in inches. So let's change those to millimeters. And we just hit Apply, and we're done. So we can close. Okay, so back to my sketching. So I hit back to the Sketch tab. And again, we're just doing a glass box. So all I need is the rectangle tool so I can create a cube. So let's start at origin. Let's go up, and now you see I'm in millimeters. So I'm going to go, because it was 60 across. So I just hit the 60 and then tab, and it was 40 high. And then enter. And now I've created, remember, make sure you hit escape, or you can right click and hit the OK button. That stops. Otherwise, I'm going to start creating more rectangles, so remember that. All right. That square is bigger than my original box, so again, I can go back to the home button, and I can see where my object fits on the screen now. So I'm good. I got what I want here. I'm going to hit Finish Sketch, and now I can extrude it. So I'm going to go home to center it up, and I'm going to hit Extrude. There's only one object on here, so it's going to automatically want to use that, and we're going to go 30 millimeters. There you go. That's that overall cube. Let's double check that now, make sure I did that right. I'll go back over here. It's 60, 30 deep, and 40 high. So I'm on good shape. What's the next thing I need? I'm going to go ahead and take out this piece right here, which is just, again, another rectangle. So let's get these dimensions in here. I'm 60 this way. If I look on the top here, I've got 10 and 25. So 60 minus 10 was 50, minus 25 leaves me with 25. So my length from here to here is 25 millimeters. And my height is given over here at 15 millimeters. So I need to take 15 millimeters high and 25 millimeters wide. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'll go back to my front face. I'm going to hit New Sketch or Create Sketch. And let's use the hand tool to center that up a bit. And I'm going to use another rectangle. And remember that was 25, tab, and 15. Enter. Now, I don't really care about the position of this at this point. I'll fix that in a second using the dimension tool. So I've created my rectangle. Now all I need to do is hit escape to keep me from creating another rectangle. So I need to take, let's check that dimension. How far over is this? This is 10 millimeters over. So my distance from this line to this line is 10. That's good. That's all I need for that depth, because this one's going to be set now. We already know. I don't even have to put that dimension. In fact, it won't even let me mess with that dimension. So we're just about good. All right, so I'm looking at this rectangle, and I noticed that I didn't quite make this flush up at the top. So if I extrude this right now, it's going to leave this thin little line in here. You could zoom in a little quick. You can see real quickly where that is. So I didn't start my rectangle right at the top of the line like I should have. So that was my bad. There's a couple of ways I could fix this, but I'm going to use the constraints feature since that's one of the things we're learning in this section. So this one right here is the collinear constraint, and it'll place these two lines on top of each other. So that's this button right here. Remember, if you hover over something, it'll bring up exactly what it does. There it goes, collinear constraints. It says it causes two or more line segments or ellipse axes to lie on the same line. So I'm going to click this line and this line, and now they're collinear. And so I'm done with that, so I'm going to hit escape. And I'm going to zoom out to make sure everything else is where I want it. Again, because all of these things are constrained, the whole box moved up so it's flush. So I'm good. So let's hit finish sketch. And now I'm just going to extrude this. So I'm going to hit the extrude button. I'm going to select the profile I want. I'm going to make sure I capture this line, this part. Perfect. Now you see how it's sticking out this way? I want it to go the other direction. So I'm going to click on this button right here, which takes it the other direction. Now I could go by distance, and 30 millimeters would take me all the way to the end. Or I could do the all button, which means it just goes through all. It's going to be the same dimension, so it's either way. I could hit the check mark here, OK, or I could just click the OK button here. So you see I've already got that shape, and it was actually really fast, other than my little mistake on the alignment in there, which was easy to fix. The next hole we need to make was over here. So I'm going to click on this face now, create sketch, and it opens up this view. Again, I need another rectangle. And that rectangle needs to be, if you look in here, it's 15 meters wide, or millimeters wide and 10 high. So let's get to that. So we go 15, tab, and 10. There's the hole that we need to create. So let's hit escape because we're done making rectangles. And let's position that rectangle. So it is 3 millimeters from the right side. And over here, it is 5 millimeters high. So let's do that. So the dimension from here to here is 3. And the dimension from the bottom to the rectangle is 5. There we go, and we're done. So let's hit escape, we're done dimensioning, and we've got our hole where we want it. I'm going to hit finish sketch. And now we're just going to scroll out and extrude that. So we could extrude. Again, we select our profile that we want to extrude. We're going all the way through the hole. You can see right now it defaults, this is 30 millimeters. You see that hole doesn't go all the way through. So I'm going to change that distance to all and then hit OK. And there it is. That's your object. It's all the way done. So I can use this view tool over here if you want, just by grabbing it, that little cube there, circulating it around. You can see what this thing looks like from different angles. Sometimes you can just click on a face and just go like this is what a straight up front face would look like, or from an angle, the top. You want to see what the bottom looks like. If I wanted to access the bottom to do a sketch or whatever, I could use this tool to move it around like that. The hand tool just moves it around my my viewing surface, but it doesn't really rotate it. And so I'm going to go back to my home button, and that's that default view over there for the home button. I'm done with this sketch, so I'm going to hit, I want you to do is to remember we're going to do a cut and paste for this. So we open up the snipping tool, hit new, and we'll snip that, copy it, and send it into your PowerPoint document. All right, we'll go on to activity 3.